Hello, and welcome to another Warp 9 Wednesday. Live from Warp 9 Comics, brought to you by Extra Secret Gaming. I am Dan from the internet. I am here to tell you about all the goodness we got this week. Lots of toys, lots of stuff, lots of comics. Flying solo tonight. Mainly, I had somebody who was going to roll with me, but they had to cancel, unfortunately, work stuff. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to get this thing started. So, first thing I'm going to talk about, we don't normally do this on this show, but I'm going to do it anyway. There was these new sets of Pokemon that came out this week. These guys. So, what are these? They are Shining Legends. What are Shining Legends? Essentially, it's very similar to the Generation stuff they did not too long ago. And with the Generation stuff, it was a set that didn't come in like normal packs. It didn't come in like a booster box. It only comes in these. So in these little guys, you get a pin, you get a card, another pin, another card, and you get 3 packs of this really sweet set. So the set's really nice. So far, so good with these, because these have been selling like crazy. So these are the only 2 that are out so far. You got Mewtwo, oh no, sorry, Pikachu, and you got Mewtwo. Really fun little set. I opened up some stuff on stream last week, and it was actually pretty cool. And they also came out with like the Elite Trainer box as well. Inside the Elite Trainer box, you get 10 packs, you get some card sleeves, you get a Shining Ho-Oh card, all sorts of stuff. So you get all sorts of goodies in this thing. The Elite Trainer boxes usually set you back right around 40, 50 bucks. These run usually right around 15. But you get a pin, you get a card, you get 3 packs, cool stuff. And so far, the odds of you getting something cool are pretty good in these little boxes here so far. So if you're into the Pokemon stuff, definitely some good stuff. Otherwise, for somebody who might be into the Pokemon stuff, if you're looking for Christmas gifts, because hey, it's like right around the corner. This would be a great gift for somebody, just so you know. Next thing, probably get these guys out of the way. Finally got Flash figures back, TV Flash figures. They haven't done one in a while, and the most recent one has been sold out forever at Diamond. These are from DC Direct. This one obviously is different because it's from the previous season where he's got like the white thing on his chest. Super cool, based on Grant Gustin and his awesome performance as the Flash. Really fun figure. They run about $28. Any of like the TV figures from the CW or anything DC Direct is usually about 28 bucks. But this guy's pretty cool, man. They did a nice job, and it comes with several different sets of hands, and looks pretty similar to Grant Gustin. There's not 2 heads. If they did a second head, it would be probably a lot more money. So fun little Flash figure. These will probably sell out because every time we get new Flash figures for any of the TV stuff, they end up selling out. So if you've got a Flash fan who wants a new Flash action figure, especially for the show, jump on them now because in the future they're not going to be around. I can tell you that because that's what happened last year. So just keep that in mind. But going a little fast, that's because I am very tired and we're going to go a little quick today. So anyway, though, these guys we've had before, but not since I've been doing this show. So we got in the Raphael and also the Leonardo, which I'm going to show off in just a minute. These guys are gigantic. They are quarter scale. They're from NECA. If you haven't seen these in person, I highly suggest seeing them in person because these are absolutely fantastic. A lot of places have these sold out, and they've been sold out for quite a while. I just happened to stumble upon one of our distributors where I was like, hey, they got these back in stock. We should get some. So we got some. So I have the Raphael, and we have the Leonardo back in stock. The Raphael is great. The little bandana thing they wear, it's actual cloth behind there. And for him, there's the scar that he has. And the eyes on these things are like, they look just like the movies. These things are absolutely fantastic. Plus, you get the old movie art down here, too, which is super rad. There'll be another one of these, as far as, like, Raphael goes, that it's going to be in his disguise uniform, back when he wears his flasher, his flasher costume, is what I like to call it. So it'll come with, like, the hat and, like, the little jacket and all that stuff. No Donatello. No, we actually never received Donatello because I don't think Trey was going to order these initially until I was like, hey, we should get these because they're super cool and whatever. And he told me he ordered the Donatello, but it never happened. So I never got Donatello. He was the first one they released of that set a long time ago, and I'm talking about probably almost a year ago. So he's gone. We had Michelangelo a couple of weeks ago, and I don't think we can get any more Michelangelos. I only had a couple of them, and they went super fast. But his guy's sweet, Leonardo, and he comes with his S words. I mean his swords. Sorry. So yeah, the packaging, everything about these is like just absolutely amazing, especially if you're a turtle fan. So yeah, if you can find a Donatello and you can still pay like normal price for it, it's usually pretty good. They range anywhere from like 115 to like 125. Ours cost a little more, so they are $125. These went super fast the first time we had any of them. So if you're thinking of getting one, these are the only two I have, and I don't think I can get any more. So, you know where we're at. Warp 9 Comics, 14 Mile Main Street, downtown Clawson. Scenic downtown Clawson. Lockjaw. For anybody who needs a little plush doggy, the Inhumans dog is your best bet. He can teleport. He can be doing lockjaw stuff. Obviously, it's a little tinier than most, right? Yeah, yeah. But he's super cool and actually pretty cheap too. This guy only runs about $11. So don't let the Inhuman show destroy your love for the Inhumans or Lockjaw, because Lockjaw is a badass and he is the Shiznito Bam. So make sure you get yourself a little Lockjaw plush for someone in your life. Even if they're like, I don't even know what Lockjaw is, be like, now you do. You have a Lockjaw. These things are great, really fun. They don't make noise or anything, but that's why they're only like $11. So now the heavy hitters. Got a couple of Hot Toys in today. First one, Miss Jyn Erso, the badass of Rogue One herself, man. She is absolutely gorgeous, and this they did a really good number on this box, man. It's more of a flip open. Lately, they've just been doing ones where you just slip them up and you can kind of see the figure. This one's definitely they spent a little more time on the packaging for sure, but it is more money. This thing runs like closer to about 250. But like any of the Hot Toys we've had in the past, I mean, these things are absolutely stunning. You know, this little guy comes out. Can't really see him too much because of the glare in here, obviously, but, you know, I like to show him off anyway. So, lots of stuff. Got her jacket, got lots of little weapons, lots of hands, all sorts of stuff, man. Thing's absolutely fantastic. We love our Star Wars Hot Toys. And speaking of Hot Toys, I've got one more. Probably be good if I put this back together the right way. Daredevil from the Netflix show. This thing is absolutely sweet, man. It's really, really well done. This guy sets you back closer to about $230. A little bit more traditional packaging as they do in the Marvel stuff. So with the second head, they didn't really do a second head this time. Up here, that's just a second jaw. So it's just the bottom half of the mask will pull out and this pulls in. So it does save you a little money as far as that goes. Couple of different sets of hands, and then obviously he's got a couple of versions of his batons, and he comes with a base as well. So a little base on the bottom too for him to stand on and do his crazy blind man stuff. I guess he's not really blind. He's got his radar, his bat radar in a way, but he's Daredevil, not Batman. But he's got bat radar, but he's Daredevil, not Batman. Don't get him confused. So yes, 2 new Hot Toys. Hot Toys are awesome. If you've not had a Hot Toy, it's like one of the last figures you ever need to buy. But they are expensive. But the good thing is that they usually maintain their value, or they go up in value depending on popularity of the character or popularity of the version of the character as well. So let's move on to some comic stuff, because there was actually quite a bit of comic stuff that I got done yesterday. And we're going to start with some Marvel stuff, just because people have been asking me like crazy, how's Marvel Legacy? I heard Marvel Legacy sucks. I've heard this, that. I was always still a fan of a lot of the Marvel books anyway, because I think that they are doing a good job, but it just depends on the book. Certain books, too much change too soon, and it kind of scared a lot of people away. And now, because there's a million internet trolls out there saying how bad Marvel sucks, and they just don't even read the books. They just like to all play off each other and talk about how bad everything is and blah blah blah, and they don't do anybody any good. So Legacy, for those of you who don't know, Marvel's trying something new. They're going back to legacy numbering, which I am not a fan of, unfortunately. It's a lot harder to get people involved in books where it says issue 700. But the good news is they're putting on the top of our legacy, and then it's the name of the storyline and the part number. So like part one. So it's a great jumping on point. So it makes it a little easier on us, the people on the retail side of things. Um, First book I'm going to talk about is Amazing Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man 789, done by Dan Slott and one of my favorite people in all of comics, Stuart Immonen, along with the guy with the best name in comics, Von Grawbadger. So basically, at this point in the Amazing Spider-Man universe, during the Secret Empire stuff, Peter was a billionaire and everybody hated it because he was too much like Tony Stark and blah 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 blah. Well, now Peter's being sued by everybody. He's broke. He's living on Bobby's couch, Mockingbird's couch, because they're kind of a thing now. And it's kind of going from there. He's trying to pick up the pieces of his life. He's lost some people. He lost his company. He's basically back to being down on his luck, Peter Parker, which is what everybody's been clamoring for. This is the way everybody likes Peter, I guess. It's been really good so far. I mean, for one, despite what people say about Dan Slott, I think he does a good job in the character. Would I be okay with a different writer? Absolutely. I mean, I'm always okay to hear a new writer's take on classic characters. So this one right here is definitely a good jumping on point because it's doing away with all the stuff that people didn't like over the past few years, and it's just kind of going from there. It's very much with this first part, it's Bobby trying to get Peter just back in the swing of things, pun intended. Um, just trying to get him back out to superheroing, not feeling so bad about himself and stuff because it's tough. He lost $1 billion corporation, everybody hates him again, and even New Yorkers are like, that Peter Parker guy is the worst. So he's trying to get his mojo back, if you will. Not pun intended for the X-Men books, because that's been a mojo storyline. But I digress. So Stuart Immonen absolutely kills it, obviously, because Stuart Immonen is I love that guy. He could draw Moby Dick, and I would be okay with it. And the story is traditional Dan Slott stuff. If you don't like the way Dan Slott writes anything, you're probably not going to like the book. I personally think he does just fine on it, and it kind of goes from there. So it's just a fun little beat 'em up. Even if you just want to try it, it's definitely worth it because you'll at least see what they're doing. It doesn't start this big expansive storyline. It's just very much of what's Peter doing, what's he up to, and then you can kind of take a look and see if you're kind of digging the way that they're going to take him. So good job as far as jumping on for Amazing Spider-Man, which is all I can hope for. I don't normally read Deadpool. I will admit that. Okay, but I can say without a doubt through Secret Empire, the Deadpool book was probably the best book throughout a lot of the Marvel stuff because they really took Deadpool down a road that he hasn't been in a long time. And one of the main things was he did something really bad, and now he's kind of paying the price for it. He was, Captain America, Hydra Cap's #1 hitman, essentially, for all of Hydra. So he went and did a bunch of stuff, so now he's having to live with those results, and it kind of goes from there. So in this point, we get very much thrown into a story. This is written by Gary, I can't ever say if it's Jerry or Gary, I think it's Jerry. Dug in, Scott Koblish was the artist, Nick Filardi was the colorist. We get thrown into the story where Deadpool's trying to kill Cable. And now, if anybody knows the history there, they know that Deadpool and Cable, they're homies. They had a whole book called Deadpool and Cable, where they were going around being homies. He's trying to kill Cable, and it goes from there. And the great thing about this book is it's going back to Deadpool being a really really bad guy. Like he can kill just about anybody when he sets his mind to it. And yeah, he gets in his one-off quirks and stuff like that, but he's very dangerous, and this book really shows that because Cable's a badass himself. So it's very much about those two kind of going head to head. You don't get the reason why right away, why he's trying to kill Cable. So it's very much you're being thrown into this battle. You don't really know much, and it goes from there. There's some really crazy stuff that happens in this book, though, man. So I would definitely check it out. If you're a fan of Deadpool, you'll love it. It's a lot more of the same, just a little more serious. If you've been thinking about Deadpool, but you're like, yeah, this stuff's just too quirky, it's too eh. This one might change your mind a little bit because it's changed mine. I've been reading it, since Secret Empire, and I've actually been enjoying this book. So another good one as far as the start of the legacy stuff. Um, A book that I think has been doing great and not getting enough love is the Defenders book. Uh, when Bendis is on, he's very, very good. If you don't like Bendis, then obviously, move on. I was actually just talking to one of the members who was here a little late. We were talking about how he's just not a fan of Bendis. He likes the guy. He thinks he's a nice guy and he appreciates what he does for Marvel, but he's just not. It's just not his cup of tea. He doesn't like the banter and stuff, and it's not for everybody. I think with the Defenders it works. Mainly with this one because you've got the regular team, and then they enlist Deadpool's help, and don't be like, oh well, it's Deadpool again, and they're putting him in everything. It's a very small part of it. Obviously, he's on the cover because they're trying to sell books. But Bendis is doing the writing, and David Marquez is doing the art, and Justin Ponser did the color. The art in this book has been absolutely spectacular, man. I've been a big, big fan of this book. There's a huge splash page this week of Jessica Jones driving her car into the villain. There's a picture of Black Cat being assaulted, and as she's seeing it coming, you see that eye. I mean, that's some spectacular stuff, and it's telling a great story, and it's been really, really nice, man. So I would, if you're looking for something new, the Defenders book is really great. Once again, it's part of the legacy stuff, so it is part one. Time to jump on something new if you want to try something new, man. Because if you were a fan of the Netflix stuff, you'll be a fan of it. If you're a fan of the other characters in Daredevil and Iron Fist, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, you'll be a fan of this too because they all work really well together, being like the New York heroes. So it's another one that I feel that Marvel's kind of hit out of the park there, especially it being in issue 6, but you really don't need that. My favorite book, and continues to be my favorite book from Marvel, and it's been my favorite book from Marvel for a long time, and this is a perfect chance for you guys to jump on this. Written by Tom Taylor, and the art's done by Juan Cabal, and Nolan Woodard is doing the colors. All new Wolverine 25. We're getting ourselves a new story arc for Laura and for Gabby, who continues to be one of my favorite supporting characters in any book. One of the great things is that Gabby's trying to pick out her new superhero name, so I'm excited to see where that ends up because Gabby is essentially, I guess you would say Laura's little sister, but she's kind of Laura's clone. And this is partly a Daken storyline. I know some people call him Daken. I just call him Daken. That's just the way I've always called him that. And it kind of goes from there. So it's very much a family thing, and it's about there's this group of people that come together, and it's kind of hard to explain. They are the people who were left behind by, like, whenever the X-Men have had big battles and they've accidentally killed people around them or other whatever. Their family members are now gone together to go after mutants. So that's what this is called. So it's the Orphans of X, and the Orphans of X is the name of the group, and it's going to kind of go from there. And one of their first targets is actually Daken and Laura. So really good. Tom Taylor's been absolutely killing it. If you're not familiar with Tom Taylor's work, this is a great time for you to jump on. And then if you end up liking this, I would suggest reading some of the Injustice trades that we had for the previous video game, because that continues to be just absolutely amazing. So, that's kind of it for the Marvel stuff, at least. And I'm loving a lot of the legacy stuff, and I kind of hope more people start checking it out. I think it's a good time to at least try. I think too many people, it's a lot easier to say, they just suck. Well, okay. Well, for how long? Like, eventually you're gonna see something and be like, oh, I should have tried that. I guess it was pretty good. That's just me. But I get it. Everybody's on a budget. So DC time. DC, there was a few things. I didn't get too far into DC because, as you know, for this show, I tend to read more of the newer stuff to get you guys up to date with that. And then I'll come back to something if I think it's really good, especially if it's like 2 or 3 issues in. I'll come back to it, give another update and push it again. One of the books I was surprised on, I didn't think I would like, but I actually enjoyed, Ragman #1. And, dude, I've had so many people come into the store today being like, who the hell is this? Why do I care? I'm like, well, I don't know why you care, but Ragman's been around for a while. Especially if you're a fan of Arrow or like the Flash universe, like the CW stuff. He was in there for a season. And this is his origin story, how he got like the rags, what's behind them. It's way different than like the TV stuff. He's an ex-soldier who thinks he has PTSD, and it turns out that it's a whole nother thing. If you're a fan of a little more, like if you liked Spirit of Vengeance last week from Marvel, or any of like the, like the Ghost Hunter kind of guys, or like the Vampire Hunter guys, you'll probably like this book. It's very much a supernatural DC book, not so much, you know, cape and spandex crowd. So if you dig something a little different, it's only going to be 6 issues. It's kind of a quick read. I really liked it a lot so far. So, but we'll see. You know, it's tough to judge on one issue, but first issue, thumbs up. One, two thumbs out of Dan. Another one, this one I'm kind of on the fence on, but I'm gonna talk about it anyway because it is new. Gotham City Garage. So with the success of DC Bombshells, and I know it doesn't like sell a million copies, but it is successful because it's been going on. And it even has a second volume going on, and a lot of the trades sell pretty well. Um, Gotham City Garage came out of statues, just like with the Bombshells line. So with the first issue, I forget who wrote it off the top of my head here. Okay, sorry. Story by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing. Art by Brian Ching. Colors by Kelly Fitzpatrick. Um, not totally sold on the art just yet. You know, I think it fits pretty well for the book. It's a post-apocalyptic kind of thing where everybody lives in this big dome. The rest of the world's been kind of torn to crap, and everybody's been kind of pre-programmed to be happy. So it's very 1984-ish, where everyone is like praise be to Lex, because Lex is the one who did this, and Batman is his like number one soldier to kind of keep all these people in line. So it goes from there, like I said, very 1984-ish. There's this woman named Kara who eventually breaks out of the dome, finds out that obviously Kara Danvers, but her name's not Danvers in this. There's a whole other backstory to that. She gets out, finds these other groups of people who all ride around on motorcycles, namely Catwoman, Big Barda, missing somebody off the top of my head. But anyway, they have like they're all about freedom, and they stay at this one place called the Garage, which was part of Gotham at one point in time. So and then it goes from there. I love Elseworld stuff. I love when people do like twists on different characters, and this is definitely no exception. I do like it a lot as far as the characters go. Harley's driving around with the big sidecar, and she's got her hyenas with her and stuff. So I know it's kind of a thing to sell more to sell more like merch and stuff, but I I, I actually like the book though. The book's good so far. I believe that they're setting it up to be an ongoing. It is only $2.99, so I mean there is there's a way you can just check it out and see if you like it, or at least just flip through it next time you're in the store. Like I said, the art it takes a little bit getting used to. It kind of fits this book with the post-apocalyptic stuff. It's a little more messy, but it might rub some people the wrong way. So just you've been warned. Michael Cray. That's the other thing. Our featured book of the week at Warp 9 Comics, I got a little featured thing now, is Michael Cray. Why? It's the Wildstorm universe. Why do you care about the Wildstorm universe? You probably won't, but I do. The reason being is because, I grew up in high school in the 90s when like Wildstorm was huge. Everybody loved Wildstorm. It was a big deal. One of the characters they had was a character called Deathblow. Deathblow was kind of one of Jim Lee's like top heavy hitters of the company. Michael Cray is Deathblow essentially. I know, spoilers. You can read it on Wikipedia. Whatever. This is breaking the character down just like the Wildstorm issue or miniseries that's been going on. I guess it's more of a maxi series. It's still going. I guess it's ongoing for now. Written by Warren Ellis, where it's laying the groundwork for the whole universe. We're now starting to zero in on some of the characters of that universe. He's an ex-soldier who became an ex-assassin for international operations, and now he's working for a different organization. And one of the first tasks they've given him is to go kill Oliver Queen. I believe that the Wildstorm universe is taking place outside of the normal DC universe, but still using DC characters, if that makes sense. Basically, I think it's another Earth in the multiverse. At least I hope it is, because the way that they do Green Arrow in this, not even close to what they're doing in the regular books. So something real different. Villain Green Arrow is pretty cool, to be honest with you. Awfully brutal. But the Michael Cray book I actually really enjoyed quite a bit, and I believe this is going to be a mini series as well. So if you've ever been curious about the Wildstorm stuff, it's a lot different than it used to be, and I've actually been enjoying it. I had somebody in the store today say that they really didn't like the direction that they're doing the Wildstorm stuff in. I do. I'm all for updating characters and trying to get them to go in different directions because obviously if you keep them the same way, they're never going to exist because that stuff didn't sell. You got to change it up if you want the book to sell. Ultimately, we love stories, we love everything to be the same, but this is a business. We got to make money. We got to stay open. So, the stories got to be good, they got to be interesting, and you got to continue to be interesting, and it's very tough to do. So, Michael Cray, feature book of the week. I really enjoyed it so far, especially if you're into like movies like Taken and stuff where the guy's just a badass and doing ninja stuff and kicking people's heads off and fun stuff. So hopefully by the end of it we get a little bit more into the Wildstorm universe, and this is the first of what I believe is going to be quite a few of the Wildstorm smaller imprints as far as like the smaller characters. So well, we can't have a party without some metal, right? Can't have a party without some metal. DC Metal number 3. I'm not going to go too in depth with this stuff because, for one thing, it's very much in depth. There's a ton of stuff going on. Our heroes have been kind of chased to the ends of the earth, and they're trying to hide out from all of these dark Batmen from the multiverse, including the Batman Who Laughs, who is the ringleader of all these bad guys. We've seen the Red Death. We've gotten the story of the Murder Machine. We've gotten the story of the Dawnbreaker. Next week, we will get the story of the Drowned, which is one I'm very interested in because I believe the Drowned is female. So we're going to get the answer to the question of she's still supposed to be Bruce Wayne. How'd that happen? It's going to be rad. I can't wait for that. I feel like number 3 is very important. For one, Metal's been very well received here. We're almost sold out of number 1s. We are sold out of number 2s. Number 3 is selling well. I feel like this is the first issue that's starting to kind of bring it all together. We're getting a goal. Our heroes are back on their heels. We got to see how they're going to get out of this. They're starting to formulate a plan, and we're going to go from there. So really cool. We've been introduced, like I said, to a bunch of different characters, and a big thing in the end, man. Like one of the biggest kind of bombshells, in my opinion, as far as the storyline goes so far. Been really good. I've really been enjoying it. So if you haven't checked out Metal yet, please do. Otherwise, give me a check it out in trade later because I will be suggesting it once it's all together. As long as it remains, the bar has been very high. They set the bar very high for themselves, and they've been jumping over it so far. A little bit of a mess in the first one, which I talked about, several weeks ago, that I thought it was a bit messy. Second one a little better. Third one now we're starting to kind of branch out a little more. It's been really fun. It can be a little confusing, Jim, mainly for new readers, because they're talking about a lot of history stuff. So if you're ever curious about like, oh, who's this guy? Like, why is there a monkey at the bar drinking? You should look into him because he's a cool little character. They're dropping hints of all these cool little characters, Jim, that I think you might like. So Wikipedia is a good point for that, where you can pick out a character and learn his name and see. The Dark Multiverse stuff, obviously, you know as much as everybody else, man, because that stuff's never been done before. So we're all just kind of learning it. Challengers Mountain is an old thing. Um, several little things that they're doing. The bar that they were in, all sorts of stuff. Go back and reread it before you read 3. I would suggest, especially for new readers, read 1 and 2 and then 3. And then, when you go to read 3 or when you go to read 4, refresh on 3. Keep it kind of fresh in your brain. And then eventually when it's all together, you can kind of read it all at once and then maybe it'll come together for you. It's an expansive story, man. You're probably not going to totally get everything right away. I don't even get everything right away, and I've been reading comics for a long, long time. Some of it's confusing to me too. I wouldn't give up on the story though, as long as you're still enjoying it. If you're not enjoying it, well, understandable. If you're like, I don't know about this anymore. I've had a couple of people do that, but it was mainly because they don't read a ton of stuff to begin with, and they were just like, I'm just gonna stick to my normal stuff. This is just too much for me. Perfectly understandable, but I think it's been pretty good so far. So, yeah, we can always talk about it next time I see you, Jim. If you come in. Move on to some indie stuff, and then I'm going to talk about one little collection that I got for my personal collection here because I think it's dope. And then I'm going to roll out me and my homies. So, Family Trade. Mr. Jim, Barista Jim. Um, he had mentioned that he wanted this on his poll last week, so I was like, cool. So when it comes in, I'll read it and we'll talk about it. Family Trade. It's a really cool story. The artwork's kind of out there. Essentially, this city is a floating city. What had happened was this big armada that this king had was going around and fighting all these things, and they were tired of listening to this king because he was a crazy person. So they were like, you know what, we're going to start our own sovereign nation. So they tied their boats together, and then it would slowly build up from there. So now they're just this big floating place that they have their own freedom. There's it's run by a bunch of different clans, and to keep the clans in line, there's this family, and the family is a team of thieves and assassins and stuff, and they're all related, and they go and do some stuff to keep the other clans in line, and it goes from there. We pick up with like one of the younger clan members in the middle of doing a job, and then it goes from there. Really fun, and especially if you are a cat person, you will love this because one of the characters has a series of what he calls tabbies, and the tabby cats end up kind of being his network, and they all go around making noise, and people are like, "Oh, you don't understand that cat? I understand that cat perfectly fine." It's an interesting read, really really fun so far though, and I like the universe a lot. Um, Written by Justin Jordan and Nikki Ryan. The art was by Morgan Beam. So far so good. It is from Image. I feel like Image, hit it out of the park again with another good one. The art's going to take a little getting used to. Thought the backstory was good and easy to understand. Yeah, I felt like that too, man. Especially because it was literally her just kind of explaining it to you. Like this is this, this is the history of it, but leaving enough open to where they can grow and not have to stick with stuff too much. And it wasn't just being brutal for the sake of being brutal. But the art is definitely different, and I kind of like the different. It's a distinct style that fits the book very well. And yeah, man, I'm interested to see the second issue come along. So hopefully it stays up. Things are good. Yeah, the art is like watercolors very much. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was part watercolor, or at least that's what they discussed. It being on the water makes perfect sense, right? So it's a floating city on the water where all sorts of stuff happens. It's great. One of the weirdest things that I read this week, and I had to talk about it because for one, it's an oversized issue, so why wouldn't I talk about it? A tomahawk. I knew absolutely nothing about this book. Okay, lately, Donnie Cates, it's done by Donnie Cates and Ian Biederman. It's very much a cyberpunk slash, if you're a fan of the show Vikings, or if you're a fan of Thor, but you also like robots. It's crazy, man. It's really, really cool, actually. I didn't think I would like it, but I love the book called Headlopper. That comes out quarterly. It's a very thick book. It's cartoony, but it's really fun, man. It's very, very good. And with Headlopper, we have the trades, and it's one of those that I really wish everybody would read because it's so much fun. This is very similar to that. It's a cyber berserker story who finds this a tomahawk. It's a tomahawk, but it's like atomic, and he's going to free his god, and it's just crazy. Think about like your nut job Viking who's gonna chop through everybody to get to his goal. That's who this guy is, and everybody's trying to stop him because apparently the god he wants to free is like a mad god, and the mad god is they're all like, you can't free him. He's a mad god. He's gonna destroy everything, and he's like, that sounds awesome, dude. It's so metal. It's really fun, but man, it's very heavy metalish in a way, and I'm not a fan of the heavy metalish stuff. But I really like this. I mean, look how badass that artwork is, man. Really, really cool thing. And this is kind of its own self-contained story. You can read the whole thing, and but I'm looking forward to it going forward. To be honest with you, really, really fun, and big battles and robots, Vikings chopping each other up. I mean, dude, it's kind of hard to explain because there's a bunch going on, but boy, is it sweet. I can tell you that, man. We still have some of these left. It is oversized. It will set you back $6, but I can tell you it's worth the $6 for sure. And for members, you get your 25% off, so it's really worth it. Question. With Marvel Legacy Falcon #1, if one has read Secret Empire, should the reader read Marvel Legacy 1 and Generation Sam Wilson, Captain America Steve Rogers, Captain America #1 in order to understand the transition of S.H.I.E.L.D. from Sam Wilson back to Steve Rogers? I believe it was in, it was either Secret Empire, the epilogue book, or it was, it wasn't the Captain America Sam Wilson Generations book, I don't believe, but it could have been. Honestly, man, all you really need to know is that Sam was like, you know what, I don't need the shield anymore. That's not me. You're back. Here's the shield. I've explained it to you. you can just read the Falcon for what it is. You know, the Falcon is back. I'm sorry I didn't get to the Falcon today. I actually forgot. I did read it. I do have it. I can just talk about it right now. Um, the Falcon has very much decided that this whole like leading the Avengers and being Captain America thing, he's better on the ground. He's better being closer to the people and taking on drug dealers and things. And he's got kind of an apprentice too. So him and his folks are going to him and Misty Knight, who I love. Misty Knight's great. And Patriot. We've got a new Patriot. He was a former Young Avenger, but I think it's a different guy if I remember right. So they're going to go straight to the more of like on the street. It's a very good, empowering book as far as social justice goes. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's JWs. I hate that stuff. Deal with it, man. Politics have been in comics forever, and they're not going to stop anytime soon. It's not a new thing. It's very much it's a thing that's been around for a while. So it very much talks about the man on the street and why heroes matter to the people on the ground and no man I wouldn't say you'd have to go all the way back and read every single thing that he's been in leading up to this. They're really trying to do the Marvel Legacy stuff to where that's what it is. You can just jump on it and you can read it and hit the ground running and go from there. So, but it's up to you. I mean, if you're more of a completionist, you want to read it, I can dig some of that stuff up for you for sure. Last thing I'm going to talk about, the Button. So I loved this storyline. I really, really did. It was one of our best sellers over the summer. The lenticulars. This is how you do a lenticular, people. Straight up like this. The ones that Marvel's doing are a little bit too much going on. This is really, really cool. So this collects, I forget, Batman 21 and 22, Flash in the Flash 21 and 22. This is kind of the start to the Doomsday Clock. Doomsday Clock starts in November, people. We're right around the corner, man. And that is going to be probably one of the biggest selling things of the year. Doomsday Clock is, everybody's going to be like, oh boy. So I would definitely check this out if you haven't. It's only available on hardcover so far. I will order one to get back in the shop. We don't usually order a ton of hardcovers because they can be a bit more expensive for us on the back end. This one is only 20 bucks though. So for members, if you want this cool hardcover and you loved it, it's only 15 bucks for you guys. So I can always order it for you. So if you want it ordered or anything, so it's still gonna be a little while until it's a trade, but this is dope. Like I had to have this as a hardcover, and I can't wait to sit down and read it again tomorrow. Because now, like I said, with the Doomsday Clock right around the corner, time to dissect this baby and take a look and see if we can't figure out what's going on. And I wouldn't mind if people like reread this stuff and maybe on Friday or Saturday this week when I stream some games, we can chat about it. So homework, people, read some of your comics so we can talk some comics on Saturday or reread this guy. We can talk a little bit about that guy too. I'm going to try to read it again, but I got a huge stack this week, so we'll see. I have a huge stack every week. So, but anyway, guys, that is your Warp 9 Wednesday for Wednesday, October 11th. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Extra Secret Podcast will be recording on Sunday. We'll probably have a new episode up on Monday. You can find that on iTunes. Otherwise, if you have any questions for me, extrasecretgaming@gmail.com. Make sure you hit the follow button if you haven't already. Otherwise, I will be back either Friday or Saturday. We're gonna do some more video games, and then next week, hopefully, I will be getting the new South Park game, and we're gonna stream a little bit of that. And then the week after that, it's Mario time, baby, because I got my Switch and I'm getting Mario Odyssey, and that's what I'm gonna be playing because that's gonna be a blast. I cannot wait. So, yeah, that's it. I am Dan. I am your host. Once again, doing the thing I do. Like I said, any questions, you can always just either email the store or at warp9comics@gmail.com, or you can email me or whatever you want to do, extrasecretgaming@gmail.com. But other than that, I'm going to take off because I'm tired and I should probably go to bed. Speaking of going to bed, Lincoln, what are you doing up? Not Lincoln, sorry. Gunner. Anyway, I should go. I am very tired. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Really appreciate it. This will be up on Friday, probably by night on YouTube. So tell your friends. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube because I'm gonna start doing other videos too, just specifically for YouTube, and go from there because I'd like to get that like rocking and rolling a little bit more. So anyway, thanks, guys. See you.